there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Sitting inside the 2003 Chevrolet. It's a Suburban. It's a 1500, and it's a one-tire fire, two-wheel drive. You don't see these very often, folks. This is from a local shop, another shop, different shop than we normally work for. A new client, we'll call him. And he writes, Eric, please check out, call, cell phone number, blah, 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 blah. 03 Chevrolet Suburban, P0446, no huge rush, work it in when you can, aka never get your car back. I don't know much, but I do know that. Never ever. Oh gosh, window regulator, don't break on me now. Never ever tell a shop, hey, take your time, get it when you can. See, this is a dual zone manual. We got the uptown radio, we're under 8600. 446, what's that? Some kind of EVAP code. I believe, was that that's a canister vent valve performance code, I think. Never memorize something you can look up, I'll tell you that. Save brain space for other things. We'll go powertrain. We won't do a full system scan. This car does have a very long extended crank. That's one thing I noticed, but he didn't say anything about that. So, but just crank and crank and crank and crank, and then finally it starts. Probably a fuel pump issue or something, I would think. Vent system performance. Look at me, lucky guess. Let's just go into live data. We're just going to look at, these are super simple EVAP systems. I say that before it mops the floor with us. We're going to look at fuel tank pressure. There you go. We already found a problem. So we are venting. Purge is at 0. Let's see. We're at about a quarter of a tank. Whoops. But bada bing, bada boom. There's your problem, lady, right there. Yeah, 29%. So, who sees the problem? This guy does. That's me raising my hand. So, Chevrolet, it should be about 1.5 volts at atmospheric pressure. Now, this could mean that we have excessive pressure and or vacuum. Ooh, there she goes. She's fired up. So let's just back out of here. Let's just see if our sensor is working at all. We will go to engine. We will do a purge and seal. So we're going to pull a vacuum on the tank, and we're going to look at our fuel tank pressure sensor. This one down here. Okay. Let's take and start opening our purge solenoid. We're probably not going to see any change there. We should hear the engine chuggling. Well, probably not, because it's cold start. It can deal with the extra fuel. But yeah, you see we're seeing no change there. Do we have... Yeah, our O2 sensors are running super rich because the purge solenoid's open. We'll seal the system off. Then you can see our O2 sensors drop right back lean, so that tells me that the purge solenoid works to a certain degree. But this is what we have to examine, our fuel tank pressure sensor. So 3-wire, 5-volt sensor, super duper easy. And let's go see if we can find it. Whoa, you're getting wadded up there, fella. So this Chevrolet, the Suburbans are like the Avalanches and such, that you cannot get your hands up on top of the tank, even if you pull the old drive shaft out. I let my slinky re-sleep there. So some of the pickup trucks, you can pull the drive shaft out, and you can get your hands up top there and get up on top of the fuel pump where this sensor lives. Unfortunately, we have to let the tank down. I'm hoping to be able to just stick a jack under the tank, take the one strap off, loosen the other one, and let it, come down a little bit. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're going to give it the old college try and see what happens. Always a gamble with them babies, getting the tank bolt straps out. Fortunately, this vehicle is pretty clean for an 03. Well, obviously an 03 in New York. You don't see these things too often. Let's see, latch. No, we're gonna let it down a little. I'm gonna loosen up the other tank strap here. See if that helps. Where you at, baby? I don't want to loosen her too much because I don't want it to hit the floor. I don't know if that's going to give us enough room or not. This is the front of the tank sits way up over this crossbeam, so we'd have to let the back of the tank down and slide it back. I think I'll be safe taking that back strap off and possibly letting it down enough. We may have to remove this guard, and then we might have enough room to stick our hands up over there and unplug it and at least see, you know, do we have a wiring problem or do we need a sensor? More than likely a sensor, but what do I know? Ooh, baby, look at that. 2 for 2. Man, reusable tank straps? This is unheard of. Well, that's about as far as she's gonna go without unhooking stuff. I'm gonna get a mirror. I'm gonna poke around up top of the tank, see if we can find out where it is, if it's in the middle or wherever it's at, and see if it's feasible to just pop this guard off. So pop the guard off, had a look. I think we'll be okay. I'm just gonna take and move the prop shaft here out of our way. I hung myself with a drive shaft once. My mama saved me, believe it or not, true story. I was in my dad's shop, and I was being, I don't want to call it lazy, just taking a quick look. Didn't want to pull the drive shaft out, and was looking above the tank, and I had stuck my head up between the tank and the muffler, up front where I could get in between it, and then I shimmied myself down while standing on a 5-gallon bucket, and then the 5-gallon bucket went, because it wasn't an OSHA bucket. And there I was, dangling by my ears, just barely tippy-toed on the ground. Everybody else in the shop had went to lunch. Fortunately, my mommy was in the office, and I was just screaming. She heard her baby screaming, and she came running and got me my bucket while laughing. Thanks, Mom. And that is why I use proper steps now. These are from surestep.com, not a sponsor. Oh, they're kind of stupid money for what they are. My dad had a bunch of these in his shop, big L-shaped ones for working on semis and trucks and stuff, and they held up for years. So I said someday when I own my own shop, I'm gonna buy me some Sure Steps. Oh baby. There she is. I got it unplugged. I can't show you guys, sorry. Now, it's unplugged, it's easy to get to. Well, we got it, whoa. Sorry about that. What we need to do now is go look at some scan data. I might be able to stick the camera up in there and show you. And folks are asking, why didn't you just take the tank out? Frankly, this is 100 times faster. I don't have to fiddle with any lines. I don't have to unhook the filler neck. I don't really have to mess with anything. I count my blessings because I actually got the tank straps off without them breaking. So we're just going to kind of quit while we're ahead. The sensor, if it is a sensor, just pushes down in. There's no hardware that holds it on. Pushes in the top of the fuel tank, fuel pump, and you know, that's it. So I turn the key back on. Let's see here. This is where we left off. We want to go to live data. We're going to look at the EVAP stuff again. Now we should see 0 volts or thereabouts on this sensor. Fuel tank pressure right there. 0.02. So we can do a simple bypass test. We'll get under there. We're going to check for our 5 volts in our ground, and then we will take our 5 volts and we will touch it on the signal wire, and that should go up to 5. As a matter of fact, we will take and graph this right now, and I'll just leave it there with the key on. We'll raise it up. We'll find out who's who, pressure, or I'm sorry, ground, 5 volts, and signal, and check those, and then we're done. Got my high-tech test equipment. Paperclip. Wow. Ooh, got her sitting down a little lower. Let's see what we got here. We got a black, a gray, and a green. So your gray is going to be your 5 volt reference. Your black will be your ground. Your green will be your signal wire. So first we're just going to jump our signal to ground with our high-tech paper clip, if we can. Got my high-tech paper clip in there. Let's go grab the scan tool.
The printer hasn't been printing.
The printer doesn't print, Mrs. O says.
It hasn't been printing since last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be in. And there we have 0.00 volts. So we pulled down that little ghost voltage. So our ground is likely well. Now I'll just jump to the 5 volts to it. Assuming the 5 volts is there. And we'll find out here. And here we go. Move the paper clip. Survey says 5 volts. So we're good. We just have a bad sensor. Signal wire is good, 5 volts is good, ground's good. We know all 3 wires are good. And while I was waiting, Napper brought one. Not a sponsor of the show. Your classic 221001 fuel tank pressure sensor. I'll give you guys a look at it. GM used the same sensor on just about every darn thing. So there it is. Little rubber donger on it. We'll get back in there with a screwdriver and pop it out of the fuel pump. We'll lubricate the rubber, slip it down in until it hits and stays, and then we'll plug it in and we'll check our data, and we should be around 1.5 volts. I would have loved to have shown you that process, but just enough room to get my peepers out there, barely. We can see with the new one plugged in, I just plugged it in and installed it. Well, that light's not needed, fella. We're at 1.45 volts, so that's good. Excuse me. After lunch pumps. Here's the old sensor I took out. Now the light is needed, fella. Whoa. There it is. OEM looks like. Chevrolet, Delco, it says. Oh, and it tells you right on it. 5 volts, voltage out, and ground. So it tells you who's who, in case you didn't know. Word to the wise, if you break the nipple off in the top of the sending unit, you got a couple options. Option 1, just knock it down in the tank and forget about it. It's not going anywhere. Option 2, I've done in the past, if it breaks off when you're trying to wiggle this out, take like a wood screw, like a sheetrock screw, and they bite inside these really well. So that's what I'll do, just take a sheetrock screw, kind of get just enough to get a grip on it, and then use a pair of pliers across the head of it, and then just pick it right out. So that works really well. So that's that. I'm going to button the tank back up, pop the drive shaft in, we'll do a purge and seal, make sure this baby holds, and then we'll ship it. I think we're all good now. Drive shaft is back in it. Tank guard is back on it with all the clips. The straps are on it. Nothing broke. This must be what it's like working down south. You take stuff off, you put stuff back on. That's got to be amazing. Here's where we left off, folks. So let's see something here. Let's fire this pig back up. There she goes. I'd be fixing that if that was me, I'll tell you that much. Hopefully it doesn't need a fuel pump, because if it does, that comes with a new pressure sensor. Anyhow, I was not asked to look at that portion of it. Alright, so here we are, fuel tank pressure. And we are going to start to pull a vacuum on it. And nothing is happening because our canister vent valve is not functioning. Oh, lordy, lordy. Yeah, we should be sucking the sides together on this tank. So we'll seal it, it'll pop back to 1.5, I'm sure. No? I'll be jiggered. Must be because the tank's so big and it's so empty. Let's bump her up to 100 again here. Let's give her all she wrote. There we go. Now we're cooking, baby. Get her up to about 3.5 volts and then we'll shut her down. All right. Can she hold vacuum? And it appears that it is. Now there is going to be some decay, as you can see. The rate of decay is based on the size of the tank. You know, the amount of fuel that's in it, how quickly the vacuum will decay. So that's good. Must be it wasn't drawing down because, you know, just because of the sheer size of the tank and the fact that we have, you know, just under 1/4 of a tank of fuel. Or exactly 1/4 of a tank of fuel according to that. Where's our tank pressure again? Right here. So we still have vacuum in the tank. So that's good. I'm happy about that. Now we're going to pop back out of here. That canister vent valve should have just popped open, putting us back to atmospheric pressure. So we should be back at the 1.5 or 1.45. Or I lied, and the canister vent valve did not open. Let's see what we have going on here. We might have more than one issue. We may have a canister that is slow to release. It says it's venting. And that thing is coming back down really slow. Let's just turn it on, see if it stops it from going down. And it does. And then we're going to open it back up here. And our pressure should start to drop. This is interesting. That is interesting. How can we tell if our system is restricted? Because that takes a while to come back to atmospheric pressure. We'll go to active test and we will turn on just the purge solenoid. Now that we have an accurate reading, we can actually do some more testing. So here we are, we're back to atmospheric pressure, 1.5 volts, and we are just going to purge it. We got the back door open, we have the vent open, so this should be just drawing vacuum through the tank. It shouldn't peg out our fuel tank pressure sensor, so to speak, because we have a massive vacuum leak in it. Our canister vent valve, I don't know if it's on here or not, but our vent valve is open. It should be, canister vent solenoid is venting, as it says. Okay, fuel trim's pegged right out, -31, because we're pulling as much vacuum out of the tank as we can. Let's see, fuel tank pressure is at 2 volts currently. We're at 100% on our purge solenoid. And if we just hang right around that area, I'm going to say that we don't have a restriction. We're still able to pull air through the canister vent. So I'll give this some time here. So I gave that quite a bit of time. Now we're going to kick this back down to 0. Now the ECM's not going to like us because its fuel trim has already made the correction from being in closed loop. But it's making some very quick corrections back. So that's good. It is interesting to see how that goes back to atmospheric pressure kind of slowly. One thing I want to do is we're going to go back and we're going to put a vacuum back in the tank. Then I'm going to go pull the gas cap off. I want to see if it decays very rapidly. So we're going to start to pull the vacuum on the tank. You start to hear the vehicle run rough a little bit there. Takes it quite a while to pull this thing down. I don't know how much gas these things hold, maybe 30 gallons. it doesn't seem to be building its vacuum as quickly. So that's kind of interesting. Let's seal it off. I'm going to open that purge again. I'm wondering if our purge is acting a little funny on us here. So the second time we turn it on, it seems to build vacuum very quickly. Alright, so I'm going to seal the system. So that's sealed off. Hopefully it doesn't kick us out of test. You get around 4 volts, it'll kick you out. Now I'm going to go pull the gas cap off it and see if that drops right down real fast. Hold on, folks. So I just pulled the gas cap, and that does decay pretty quick. Very interesting here. So I think I will leave it at that, folks. I know that I said the fuel tank pressure sensor is generally 1.5. Well, that's in a pretty perfect world. I've noticed with aftermarket sensors, I will have a variance of anywhere from 1.4 to 1.6. Typically, they're on the lower end of the scale in that 1.4 to 1.5 volt range. Never really seen that cause an issue. Because some of you will comment that, how come at atmospheric pressure it's still, 2.27 millimeters of mercury. I don't know, just because the sensor's skewed slightly at 1.42 volts where it settles. Don't ever really see that, cause an issue, so I'm not too worried about that. The decay rate is the only thing I'm concerned of. But if the vehicle is happy with it, if the guy has no problem fueling the vehicle, which is, well, no, because that still has the vent. This one still has the vent thing on the tank. Okay, yeah, I think that we will be in good shape. If the vehicle were to come back with a vent valve performance problem, now that the tank pressure sensor is fixed, then we'll chase it down a little more, but I would be surprised if it does, because it appears to be functioning as designed, unless I'm clearly missing something. But what I don't want to miss is I don't want to miss your comment down in that comment section. So head on down there, leave the comment. Make sure you tell me how I did it wrong, or if in your experience you've seen something totally different. I'm all ears, and I'm always willing to listen. And I will keep you posted if this comes back and haunts me and makes me a failure. But anyways, until then, just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.